What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Fit Fat Dad podcast, the podcast where it's two dads, myself, Graham and Blair, and we're kind
What's
of fit,
up?
we're kind of fat, and we're going to talk all things dad. Blair, this is episode 1, brother, and if the world knew the trouble that we just had to try to get this episode launched, and knowing that we have 30 minutes I have to go get the kids at school.
Yeah, pickup line.
I mean, it is what it is, brother. Golly, I'm just happy to be here. Initial
We're not
launch,
we're not the most tech savvy, that's for sure.
man. Holy smokes, golly. So, hey, Blair, it's been a long week for me, man. I've been traveling on the road, but had some time to talk about this podcast and what it means. Somebody said, "What is the Fit Fat Dad podcast?" And I said, "Well, the way I see it, it's about balance, right? So
Mhm.
you kind of got to stay hard to kill, but fat enough to love comfortably." And I
I
feel like
love it.
that's us.
I love it. I
It's
100% agree with that, man. I think you and
good.
I are all pretty hard to kill. I'm just saying,
You know,
just your
it's
size alone.
true story, Blair. If I can be honest with you, before you came over, I was trying to get a workout in, and no lie, I was working on my phone, eating a cookie, and doing kettlebell lunges.
If that
Kind of
doesn't
fit
describe that's fit fat dad right there, right
all the
there.
way, all the way. So hey, we're gonna try to squeeze this in 20 minutes, 27 minutes. I doubt we'll probably fail. It's number one, whatever. It's a goal. We
That's
marked
right.
it up, and I feel like we're conquering it. So, episode 1, Blair, we're going to talk some new year. We're going to talk, about the new show. Probably get into some goals because who doesn't love goals in
That's
the new
right.
year? It's an easy number one topic, right? Everybody just talks about goals. They're probably
Especially
sick of
right
it.
now, January, right? So goals are hot right now.
Yeah. So before we get started, let's introduce the world to Blair Morris. So if you could, knowing we got 22 minutes before child pickup,
That's
tell us
right.
about Blair Morris. Give me the rundown.
Oh
Top
man,
three.
man, if you could bullet down top three, number one, I would say you got to be a man of God first. That's my number one. Second one is there's kind of two. I would say second one is being a husband, and then dad. Obviously, that kind of goes hand in hand. But then business owner. So you try to boil it down. That's and it's somewhat of an athlete. Maybe try to get that in there. I don't know. Three's hard. Like
Yeah,
that's hard.
I think we're always going to be athletes, and I'll
Yeah.
never admit that we're probably more fathletes than
Yeah. Yeah.
athletes at this
Yeah. I
point.
got I got humbled earlier today in that very quickly. But no, boil it down. I say try to be a man of God, husband second, and then dad, business owner, definitely comes in time there third. Of course, dad first.
Yeah, and
But
you got your hands full because you got two, and then you got
yep,
one on the way, right? I hope
that's
that's
right.
public knowledge to share because it's out there.
It's out there, man. My son Adler will be 5 in March. My daughter Bennett will be 3 in March, and then my children have astutely named the baby in the oven Kiwi. So
Kiwi.
Kiwi, that was not
Okay.
bestowed upon them. They were in the back of the car one day, and we're like, "When's baby Kiwi coming?" And my wife Ricky and I looked at each other and like, "Where did they come up with that?" So baby Kiwi is will be here sometime in May.
Well, at the rate this technology and getting this podcast launched, baby Kiwi may be 8 years old by the time
That's right. That's
that
right.
it happens. So, hey, there's a lot to Blair Morris, and we'll cover that as hopefully we continue to do this. But me and you sat down when we were talking earlier this year about this podcast and just really what we wanted to do and who we didn't, wanted to listen to. And you came up with the idea. Let's just talk about dads because there's a lot of people out there that struggle with trying to be a father, a husband. Maybe they're not even in a spiritual path and they're just lost or looking for something. Maybe they are and really trying to figure out. And we certainly don't have the answers, but I feel like we have some pretty good experiences to share, and maybe that can help somebody. And that's kind of the vision that we had for this. And I can't remember if it was me or you that said it, but honestly, if there's two people out there, four people out there, and it's our kids that listen to this and they take it away, then mission
Yeah.
accomplished.
Well, I think when you said what was our purpose, we were talking about, as we were growing up, and we looked at pictures and we heard oral stories, and my grandfather has journals that I've gone through, and I've just pieces.
Legacy.
Yeah, and nowadays it's all digital, right? So how can we, ensure that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, Lord willing, our kids have kids. What was dad, you and I thinking about it, 37, 38 years old with toddlers, and what was their life like? And this is the way to do it.
Yeah. It's how
It's
the world communicates.
That's right. It's how the world communicates.
Yeah.
I think you and I discussed that at our men's group Bible study the other day, which is, this is just how it is.
Yeah, man. So you also shared, we talked about mindset going into 23, and you said some really great things. So talk about what is your mindset going into 23. And as a business owner, I'll tell everybody, owner of a local gym here, a very successful gym here in town, Iron Tribe Fitness. And hey, man, you're all about getting people's minds right. So talk to me about where Blair Morris's mind's at, and how are you leading that into the gym? Like, what's your motto for 23?
Yeah. So well, I'm going to preface that by saying I had a pretty big 22, right? So 22, year and a half ago, 18 months ago, I set out on a mission to, train for an Ironman. And I think that really changed a lot of my mindset of like what can be accomplished. And you mentioned earlier on, balance, right? So if you know anything about Ironman training, it takes up a lot of time. It's a lot of sacrifice, not only personally, but for your family. And so after going through that journey, my mindset now is anything can be done, right?
Yeah.
Anything can be done. And that's what I'm looking for in 23 is just, it may hurt a little bit. There's going to be a lot of sacrifice, but if you put your mind to it and have goals, and you're not going to be perfect. There is not a person on this earth that was perfect. There was one guy, and we all knew who that was. That was perfect.
Yeah.
But just setting your mind to it and absolutely staying the path. So my goal for 23 is to be a more godly man. Like that's first and foremost. And I want to be a better husband and a better father. And to do that, I have to look at my business and say, how can I align that business to my goals? Right. Because first and foremost, I need to be, a more godly man, spend more time in the word, but also need to be the best husband I can be and be the best father I can be. And the path to do that is through my business. But that business I should not have to sacrifice those two things to be able to accomplish what I want to on the family side.
Sure.
So that's my motto. That's what I want to accomplish in 23, boiling it down into the time frame that we have.
Yeah. It's balance. It's all about balance.
Yep.
You mentioned some about your story in the Ironman, and let me just say here, and we're still trying to figure out if we want to go audio with this. Video. I'm not sure that we have the face for video. And
face of radio, man.
There we are. But if we decide to go that, let me just describe Blair for you. He's roughly 6'3", 265, maybe. We'll say that. But the Clydesdale division is something that is a very real thing. And this Clydesdale did a Ironman, and let's just not any Ironman, Chattanooga, which is very mountainous terrain, and it's not easy. So props to you. But you had some really good stories towards the end there, and we won't get into those today, but we'll resurface that kind of that walking the last several miles and kind of really figuring out where things were as your flesh kind of was beat down and your spirit kind of had to pull you through. I think that was some really good things, but it all relates to what you were talking about with, I think it relates to discipline over the flesh is where you're going with 23. And that's just such a hard thing to do. I'll share with you mine. So 2022 was a great year. But I think I wanted it to be a year of production, and it was a year of learning. And 23 for me is going to be a year of application. I learned a lot in 22. It's kind of just soaking it in. And for me, it kind of felt like sitting on the bench a little bit. But 2023, I'm getting after it, baby. Like it's happening. There's no sitting on the bench this time. There's no sitting back, letting it happen. I'm stepping in. I'm letting people know how I feel. I'm shining the light.
That's right.
That's where I'm at. That's the theme for 23. So
well, I think you have a plan, and you say you're going to do, in your mind, like this is the year that I'm going to do this, and God says, whoa, maybe this is a year that, like you said, maybe you need to be on the bench and observe and learn, and then you have been hammering me about this podcast just with the crazy life. Like this is happening. We're doing this.
We're doing it, bro.
Yeah, and we got it done. This is our second attempt of the first episode, but here we are, and that's a man of massive action. I can't wait for 23 for you, brother. I really can't.
Hey, we're getting after it. I mean, look, there's a logo for this podcast, and I am anything but a creative designer. And hallelujah, it's there in the upper right. Everybody just like look at that, take a like, enjoy it, hate it, I don't care. It's there. And let's just resurface the intro video. I mean, give me some props for that, buddy. I mean,
hey, man, I'm telling you. Well, if there's nothing than being dad, I will say that picture came from a cold football game in Chattanooga.
There you go.
My son's first one. I think yours have been to a couple. But leading into that, I remember the ride down. You're like, man, if we're driving an hour and a half to maybe get a quarter, like that's just the experience that I've had with taking my two boys to football games. Dude, we made it to halftime. Like, we made it to halftime.
Absolute win.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah,
and they enjoyed it. I think they enjoyed it. Adler loves football now.
Well, and my kids ran stadiums and jumped in complete strangers' laps and refused to eat their hot dogs and were hungry 15 minutes later. But so is life as a dad. And that intro video, we joke about it, and it does kind of look like a low T video. But hey, maybe that's where we're at in life, and it is what it is. So
massive action.
Hey, there we go. We digress. So hey, want to talk a little bit. We talk about our motto for 23 and I wrote some stuff down about goals for 23 to help some people out. And there's so much information out there about goal setting, so many opinions on it. And most of it is really, really good. Most of it is pretty monotonous. I mean, we've heard of SMART goals. Yep. We've heard of, just being accountable, set a timely. I'm not going to put those down by any mean, but I mean, in 23, I'm just like tired of that garbage because it's been there for forever.
Yep. And
I'm boiling it down in my mind. Some tips that I think that as I reflect and Blair weigh in here, so I wrote down 4, and there's probably more, but this, I got to go to parent pickup, and that's where we're at in life. But speaking of life, number 1, I think as we look into 23, it's pretty important to understand. Number 1, what season of life am I in?
100%.
Like I've not seen that in any goal setting book. Maybe it's out there, but if I can stamp that for the Fat Dad podcast is number 1. What season of life am I in? And that's really important because there's a lot of goals that you want to do, but you have to understand where you're at in life. I mean, if you like, hey, come on, Big Blair. You got 1 in the oven on the way. You got 2, under the age of 6 running around, running a small business. That's going to limit you on some things. And well, you may have some big goals. That may be a 5-year goal that you want to go out. So I think that's really, really important. So weigh in here. What's your mind on that? Like,
no, I think it's great. And I've never heard that before. Look at it from what season your life is in. I mean, I love it. Yep. Trademark, put it down. I don't think you can patent it. What do you do? Is it trademark? Come on, marketing guy.
Somebody will just steal it.
Yeah, somebody, right?
There's no original thoughts these days.
No. Yeah, I think season of life is in. And when you were saying that, I was sitting here thinking about, 4 or 5 years ago, you and I were hitting it hard on the gym, going out and competing in local fitness competitions, and we had the time to do it. Our kids were younger, right? So they were less mobile. And they were into a lot less, right? They weren't starting sports. My daughter started dance last night. My son's starting flag football in the spring, and karate. And now we have gymnastics. So there's 7 days in the week. Now we're already 4 out of those 7 have something going on for the kids. And you can say, hey, I want to accomplish all your goals. Well, if the goals aren't aligned with where you are in your season of life, guess what? Sacrifices in other areas are going to happen. So you have to be, like you said, smart. We'll use the word intelligent. You have to be intelligent about what goals you're trying to accomplish for that season. So I think it's great, man.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned, you completed an Ironman last year, and that's a life goal that I don't know what the percentages are, but it's probably like 0.001% ever even complete a marathon or a triathlon, Ironman, and you did that, but you talk about the strain that it had on your family just with the required time commitment to do that. And that's family suffered, but personal achievement, we don't want to undersell personal achievement, but it's a balance of, and it brings me to the other one is who is depending on me
Absolutely.
in 23. And, I'll share a story here. It's went to a regular doctor visit, do blood labs, and cholesterol is through the roof. I don't know. I think it was like 270. And for those of you who don't know cholesterol, 270 is like,
That's
bro,
pretty
you
high.
better get it together.
Yep.
And, because I am kind of fit and kind of fat, working out, that never changed. And I eat pretty decent, but I call it the boiling a frog in hot water. It's very slowly, right? That's kind of where I was at. And let's just call it alcohol. I mean, that was the problem. And it was 1 to 2 drinks a night. And then, hey, come football season, that turned into more, right? Watching football games, and that became the norm and the standard. And you just, hey, it's only 1, hey, it's only 2. It caught up with me, and I just quit that junk, man. I'm just, hey, and went back about a week ago, and cholesterol had dropped 70 points. So that right there in itself was, getting it together. But it's the whole point is who's depending on me.
Right.
I think we can get selfish in our ways of, man, I want to enjoy, and this is my way of relaxing. But I mean, if I'm at 270, I mean, I have 3 more years left in me at that rate. Even if I'm doing everything by the book, and that one area of my life is preventing me from where I need to be, and I've got kids that I've got to mentor and see them grow up and accomplish great things. And but I think that's important to the people listening, the 2 people listening out there, maybe. Who is depending on me? Is it my wife? Is it my career? Is it is this a rebound year for me from a physical or mental standpoint? And it really goes into how we're going to make the world better. So I'll keep moving here. And Blair, you speak to this one because I feel like this is the next one here. The number 3. What makes me uncomfortable? I think that's a really good guideline for setting goals. What speaking to that, break that down a little bit. Like when we're setting goals, talk about being uncomfortable and why that's important to helping somebody grow.
Well, I'm just going to relate it to my experience right now. Okay. Something that's relevant in my life that happened just a few months ago. And one, I had run a marathon about 6 years ago. A friend of ours did an Ironman, and I was like, man, if he can do it, I can do it. So I literally signed up, paid the money before I even started training. Holy cow. You want to talk about uncomfortable? Like I hit the money, I hit the button, and I said, I'm doing this. So then it got into, okay, well, how am I going to make this happen? And I had to get really uncomfortable with being in the water and learning how to swim, right? I mean, I knew how to swim, but did I really know how to swim? And my coach told me really fast, you have no idea how to swim.
Yeah.
That was an uncomfortable position for me to be in, of like taking step years back of quote unquote swimming, and learning how to become comfortable in the water. And trying to unpack of why it's important to become uncomfortable to reach certain goals is you have to step out there, right? You have to step out there. And I think, we were in a men's group maybe it's a couple months back, and I was telling you, like, it is uncomfortable for me to profess my faith. That's just not a talent that I guess I'm just not good at it.
A lot of people are
I have
uncomfortable with
made
it.
it to
Yeah.
mission in 23
Come
to
on.
step out and say, "Hey, let me pray over you.
Let's
Let me
go.
put hands on you."
So
And
good.
but it's making that decision, and I think that's where it is. It's like you have to make the decision to say, "I'm going to be uncomfortable to get to where I want to go." It's the same
Yeah.
thing with people that I talk to on, that come to the gym. Like if you have a 50-pound weight loss goal, guess what? You're going to be uncomfortable to get there, but that destination is going to be amazing. When you see yourself in that mirror and you feel these changes, guess what? You're going to be sore. You're
Yeah.
going to hurt a little bit. But when you get on that scale 8, 12 months from now and you were 50 pounds down, guess what? Your life has changed. And it's
Yep.
all those uncomfortable moments that you've gone through to get there. And now you're there. Then you can reap all, then you can reap the rewards,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and it's kind of like what we go through in life, right? Like life's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, man. I think currently in the state of the world, it's uncomfortable being a Christian right now
Yeah.
with just what's going on in the world around us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's not easy to step out and say, "Hey, I'm a man of God," and I worship in public, because guess what? There are people out there that probably ridicule you, but guess what? You keep doing that. When it's our time to be called up, you're going to reap those rewards.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
versus you, baby. One of the things that to talk about and speak to getting uncomfortable um, is my another one of my phrases is get out of the boat,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what get out of the boat means is if we go into scripture, Jesus is in the beginning of his journey, right, walking along, and there's Peter and his brother Andrew, and they're fishing. He's like, "Hey, come with me," right? And they immediately put down their nets and come with him, right? And then he goes over to the brothers James and John of Zebedee. Zebedee, I'm probably jacking that name up too, but you got what I'm saying. And they're in a boat, and Jesus is like, "Come with me, man." And they immediately put down the nets and get out of the boat. And look, hey, it's not wisdom from Graham because just a little Bama boy, there's not much wisdom here, but it's godly wisdom. I saw that as your boat is comfortable. Your boat is your daily routine. You know how to row the boat. Life may be good in the boat. There may not be anything wrong with the
That's right.
boat, but it's comfortable. And if I am just stagnant and comfortable in that life and not looking to get out of the boat, look what I may be missing. Like, how much more does God have for us outside of the boat than what we feel in our little like comfortable shell? And that's kind of like that all falls into like being, year of application, right? Let's just get a little bit uncomfortable and see what purpose can be fulfilled. I mean, look, hey, if those guys stayed in the boat, they would have missed learning from, the goat,
That's
baby.
right.
So
Well, I
I'll
think
keep
you're already
thinking. Go
challenging
ahead.
yourself. I think you're already challenging yourself. I know we're short on time. I'm gonna say one more thing because we were in conversation and you said, "Hey, I hate social media, man. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I hate it.
I don't want it to be about me." Um, and I think the challenge was, well, that's how people communicate.
Yeah,
That's how people communicate. How
yeah,
are we doing this right now? We're communicating with our two listeners, probably our
yep,
wives.
yeah. And it went down to one at this point,
Oh
probably.
yeah, okay, down to
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean that's how the world communicates. And if just like this, man, if one person hears this and just like you said, two guys from Alabama that have a couple kids and inspire you to do something great, and your words take massive action, then you know what? We've accomplished something.
yep.
Um,
Amen, brother.
so, yeah, man.
Yep. And so I got one more, and then we'll be quick because I can just see the my kids the look of disappointment as I am 5 minutes late. Last one is what can I control versus what is out of my control, and I think that's very important. And where I would guide people is lean into what you can control,
Mm-hmm.
and the things that you can't control, man, like that's you gotta let that go. Don't spend time stressing over it. there's a lot of outcomes that you can't impact, you can't control. Like, let's just be honest. A lot of us were designed differently. We have different body types. If it's a physical goal and you want to lose weight, you may not look like Dwayne Johnson, right? Like, there may be some things that are just, hey, let's just manage our expectations. And I know it's not just a physical goal and there's a lot of other goals, but if you can control it, pour into that and forget
100%.
about the rest. So, hey, we're at time here, Blair, and I actually think that episode one went really well until we go
Yeah,
back and pull the game film and realize that there's a bunch of mistakes to be made. But hey, that's why they have the game film, baby. We
that's
go in
right.
there and
That's
get
right.
yelled at, old athlete. But next time in episode two, we'll talk a little bit. Because we were rushed. Briefly talk a little bit more about goals. I know you challenged me with the hard 75 challenge, and you're doing it too. We'll see how we're checking in on that and see if we're getting
Right.
yelled at. Yeah, look, hey, I'll be honest with you. I'm 12 days in a row. I'm just letting you know, but I forget to log the app.
Yep.
And if anybody else is out there doing it, the app calls me out like, "Hey, you little bi!" Like, I want to fight my phone and punch it in the face. I
Right.
did it, man. Get
I
off my
did it.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know who this guy is, but like,
It,
hey,
it
cool
makes you put "I
concept.
quit." Like if you miss, it makes you put "Yes, I quit." Take me back to
Yeah,
the beginning. That's
yeah,
hard.
yeah, yeah.
I
It's hey, I'm rolling. I am
like
in
it.
this 2 workouts a day. It's more about mental toughness than
That's
anything,
right.
and I'm loving it.
100%.
But we'll digress. But hey, we'll wrap it up here, Blair. Always a pleasure, buddy.
Yeah, man. I'm
And
looking forward to episode 2, brother.
yes, sir. Maybe we'll grow to 3 listeners by then. But for everybody, that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the Fit Fat Dad podcast, where it's about balance, man. We're kind of fit, we're kind of fat, and remember, if you're eating cookies while doing lunges, that's okay in our world.
That's
Out.